Hi guys, today I thought I'd show you how to make a really easy cane, and I mean it really is that easy because I am no expert in canes and I keep coming back to them and just playing around and seeing what I can come up with, and they're always really simple because I haven't got that brain that can work out more complex canes. But just blowing some fluff away. So it is easy. Okay, so I've started off with a small block of Premo, the 2 ounce block, and just rolled it into a log, translucent Premo. You don't have to use Premo, you can use Cernit or whatever other translucent clay you would normally use. And I've rolled out a strip of black and a strip of white and two colours. Now I'm going with this Premo Souffle turnip, and this is rolled onto a number 6, and I'm also going with this colour, which is a Premo mint green, also rolled onto a 6, as is the black, rolled onto a number 6, but my white is rolled onto a number 5, and I use an Atlas 150, so they're the thicknesses in clay. I think that's all I need to tell you at this point. So yeah, the first thing you need to do, I'm just going to put this to one side for a minute, is get your white clay and your log of translucent, alright, and we're just going to wrap this in the white clay. I just like to make sure the edge is nice and neat before I do that, so I'm just going to cut a little away, and then just make sure it's the same width as the log. So I'm just tidying the edges basically. Trying to. Alright, so when you've got your white strip relatively level, just roll the translucent plug so you can wrap it, and then just give it a little wiggle like this so it leaves a nice line. You can see where to cut it, except I can't actually see it and the light shining on it. I'll do that again. I can see a very, very faint line, and just cut that away, and then you've got a simple bullseye cane. Okay, so I'm just going to give that a little roll just to smooth it out a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is take something just to poke into the clay, which I forgot to grab. Anything will do. I'm just going to push in a divot just in one place on this cane, and it just adds a little extra something to the cane, and then I'm going to bring it back up and rejoin it back up like that. And then I'm going to try and get it back into a more circular shape. So you can see there's this little extra something that's been pressed into the clay, into the log. So I'm just going to give this a quick roll. I want to get it more round again. It doesn't have to be perfectly round, but roughly. Alright, so then what I'm going to do is take this and cut it in half. I'm going to take the two halves and place it where the two little points were, so they're facing each other. Okay, and then same thing, just try and roll it back into a more circular shape. Give it a roll. Give it a little squeeze. squeeze. I'm really sorry. That looks like a bum. I just saw that. Oh my gosh, I'm hysterical. It looks like a bum. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's really tickled me. Oh dear, it's like a cute little baby's bum. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to calm down. Oh dear. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't air this video. Oh, right, compose yourself, Deb. All right, okay. So we've put the two halves together, and what I'm going to do is cut it in half again, and then it doesn't look like a bum anymore. Thank you. But it looks like two crosses, and what I'm going to do is just again put those two halves together so it looks like this. Oh dear, that was so funny. Oh, there it is again. I can't look at that. I'm actually in hysterics here. Little things please little minds, right? Oh. Anyway, let's continue. So I've put those two pieces together again, and I'm just going to try and get it back into a round shape. I'm still giggling, guys. Oh dear. Okay, right. So I've got this roughly back into a circle, into a tube. And I'm just going to get rid of that one end so I don't have to look at it again. Oh dear. And I'm just going to take this end off as well, just to tidy up those ends. Alright. So you should end up with a piece that looks something like this. I'm just going to round it off again though. Oh dear. And what's useful as well, where you can see the line where you made the join in the first place, it kind of helps as a registration mark to see where you are, if that makes sense. So I am going to go with that, so you know that the pieces are the same way up either end of the cane. But now what I'm going to do is cut in half one more time, but this time I'm not going to stack. I'm just going to take each piece and form it into a triangle like this. I'm not going to reduce it too much at this point, just a little bit, just to get it going, because I'm going to wrap each of these pieces in those colours that I showed you at the beginning. So I'm just taking it into a nice point at the top so it looks like a triangle. And then I'm going to get rid of the edges again because it's kind of lost its shape a little bit. So you're going to end up with something that looks like this. It's kind of rough looking, really. It's not the most amazing cane in the world, but you'll see what happens when I go on to making the pendant. Anyway, so I'm going to take my first colour, which is this Premo Souffle, and I'm going to wrap this little baby in this. So I'm just tidying the edges again. Oh my gosh, I keep thinking about the bum. Oh dear. Right, I'm just going to put it that way actually. And then I'm just going to wrap this in this. Give it a little squeeze, make sure it's nicely on there, and just cut away the excess and give it a little mush. So now you've got this triangle with a weird looking, looks almost like a picket fence now, doesn't it? It looks like that. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with the other one, following that line. Just make that into a triangle as well, and you need to make it the same length as the first one. Yeah, I've got it the right way. You want to make sure that they're all facing the same way from each other when you make the triangle, if that makes sense. So again, I'm just taking this into a triangle, trying to get it as even as possible. There's a bit of wastage on this one, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Make a nice little point at the top. Just remove this little bit of excess and we should be good with that. And same thing, I'm going to get my other colour, and that's not wide enough. I'm just going to shorten this a little bit to make it fit. Okay, I'm just going to tidy this edge again, and I'm just going to bring that up and roll it over so it's completely wrapped in the green clay. There's a bit of an overlap there, I'm just going to get rid of that. It'd be too thick otherwise. Even though it's all stuck down now, I'm just going to slice that little bit away. Yeah, you can do better than me at that, guys, but you basically just wrap in that triangle. Now you've got to make it the same length as this one. So I'm just going to pinch it down a bit more, just so it's in a nice triangular shape still. Make sure it's the same, roughly the same size as the other one. I mean, I don't worry too much about it being exact. That's just me. I kind of just go with the flow. So just a little bit more. A little bit more. I feel like this one's a little bit thinner as well, but again, I'm not too worried. Just so long as they're the same length. Alright, so once they're the same length, you're just going to put them together. Not like that, that was the wrong way. Put them together so they look the same on both sides, and you're just going to reform it into a triangle. So you're going to put them together like this, and you've already roughly got a triangle. This is the flat part here, and this is the pointed part. So just continue shaping it along that same line. And I'm going to take this to 6 inches because I want 6 equal pieces. So I'm just going to get my ruler just to see where we're at, and we're at 4, so I need to just take it to another 2 inches. And you can just keep turning it and pressing. Try and get it as equal and level as possible. Still got another inch to go. Like this. And again, we're going to cut off the edges as well because they get a little bit untidy as you go along. You can see it loses some of the colour around it, so I am actually going to get rid of that before I go any further. I mean, some of you might be better at canes than I am and don't get as much wastage, but those cut off pieces, you can still do something with them. I actually quite like using end of cane scraps. You can get some pretty pieces with it, so don't ever think it is a waste of clay, because it's not. I've just got to keep going with this. A little more. And we're good, other than just a little tiny bit on each end, which is perfect because it just helps tidy it up a little bit. And we've got 6 inches. Alright, so when you've got your piece all reduced to 6 inches, this is what you've got so far. Very, very simple looking. Alright, but now I want to cut these into 6 equal pieces. So I'm just going to lay it against my ruler as a guide and hopefully get them right, because I'm not even very good at this either, even with a ruler. And then let's just cut all the way through until you've got 6 pieces like this. This one looks bigger than all the others, I can tell that just by looking at it. Anyway, so what I want to do now is get each of my pieces and just place them together. Now, I'm trying to think. Yeah, do the math, guys, but I realised this last time that I did this, that it wasn't alternating colours on one segment, but do you know what? I don't care that much. It still came out pretty, so put your pieces together. Let's just open that up a little bit. Oops. Yep. Alright, so you've got 2 little halves like that, and I just want to put a black centre, so I'm just going to take a little bit of this black clay and just roll a little centre for this. And it doesn't have to be very big. I mean, you can see roughly how much you need just by looking at the centre of the cane. So I'm just rolling this into a little log. See if that's going to be okay, or if it's a bit thick. I think that's just about right, and just place that on one half like this, cut away the excess, and then put your 2 halves back together. Make sure they're the same on both sides, so it can be a little bit of manipulating, and especially when you're like me and don't cut them completely equally. Oops! So I'm just playing with this a little bit. Alright, and that's really all there is to it. But don't you think it's so pretty? Alright, so I'm just going to start reducing this a little bit. Again, at this point, not too much, because I want to wrap it in black next. So I'm just getting it going. Squeezing in the middle a little bit and then bringing it out, and that way it's ensuring that you've got all the pieces all nicely compressed together, and it's also eliminating any air bubbles that might have occurred. And I know there's going to be a little bit more waste, guys, but you know. So when you've got your cane rolled back into a nice tube shape, get the black strip that you already rolled out. I'm just going to start up there because it looks a little bit wider. And I'm not worried too much about the edges because they're going to get cut off again. And just roll your cane in the black, give it a rock so it leaves a mark so you know where to cut. And there we go. Again, I'm just giving this a little press and a little roll just to make sure it's nicely on there. Now this isn't a massive cane, obviously. You could make this as big as you wanted, but I just, as you know, I started out with just a 2-ounce block of translucent in the beginning, and I mean I have lost quite a bit of it in waste, but there's always going to be a little bit of waste with canes. Right, so the next thing then is I need something pokey again. If I can find, I'll just use this. No, I don't want to use that. Where did it go? I can never find my needle tool. It kind of gets swallowed up in everything else, and I know I should have got it ready before I started recording, but I completely forgot about it and I can't find it. So I am just going to use this skewer. That will do. I'm just going to take the edges off this a little bit just to tidy it up again. Oops. And I've lost some of my centre there, but this is what it looks like so far. It's very pretty, it's very delicate, it's very easy. So I'm just going to take something to poke. Ideally I would have used my needle tool, but I cannot find it. So anything that you've got that can just poke little divots, just giving it more of a flowery look, and it's just going to push some of that black into the cane itself. So it's just a little extra something, and I'm just going to do that again. I'm just going to keep turning and just doing that in a few places so it gives it kind of a flower look. Just push that in, and here, and I think just one more will do. And you've got a really pretty flower. Alright, so that's the cane, and it's as simple as that, guys. I hope it made sense. But what I'm going to do now is apply it to a pendant. So I'm just going to roll out some black clay quickly, and I'm just going to roll it onto a number 1. Alright, so I've got myself a piece of black clay. I'm just going to place it on some card. And I'm going to go with this square cutter to make my pendant today. And I'm going to actually curve it as well, dome it. And I actually found these. Let me just grab that one. I actually found these in a store. It was in Christmas clearance. I'm not quite sure what they are, but they came in 2 halves like this, I guess, and there was a little kind of ribbon hanging off it, so I'm guessing it was some kind of tree ornament where you could put like little gifts inside or whatever. But they come apart and they are perfect for laying pieces of, you know, your clay pieces on there to dome them in the oven, because it is made of some kind of metal or tin or something. But yeah, anything that you can, just a small bowl will do. You can just lay your pieces on there to get a domed look. So, as you probably know, if you've seen my other cane videos, of which there are not many, you will know that I don't like the busyness of canes. So I tend to keep it very minimal, but that's just my preference and that's just my taste. There's no reason why you cannot use a cane to cover up, you know, a whole piece. I don't want to. So I'm just going to take my cane and I'm going to get a relatively thick slice like so. Just give it a little bit of a shape. Now, because I've wrapped it in black and it's going on black clay, that is going to blend in really nicely. Now, you don't have to wrap it in black, you don't have to wrap it in anything, you could just leave it as it was. Or let's say if you wanted to make the pendant with a white clay background and you wanted it to blend seamlessly, don't wrap it in black, wrap it in white, or whatever colour it is you're going to use, whatever background colour you're going to use, wrap it in that colour, and then you're going to get a nice seamless blend. So I'm just going to place that on there. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to place it on my tile and I'm going to give it a roll just to start us off. And I'm going to keep turning it just to make sure it keeps a somewhat circular shape. I don't want it to go square or rectangle or something. So I've rolled it out to start us off, okay, and that's what it looks like. It's very delicate. And now I'm just going to place it on my clay and give it another quick roll. And I do want to spread it out a bit. Now, this is quite a big cutter, but I want this not to cover it completely, but to take up most of the space of the pendant. Now I'm just going to get this and hold it up so I can see where I'm at. That's where we're at so far, but I want to take it just a little bit bigger. Just stretch it out a bit, and then I'm going to get some clay, some card, and something to burnish it with. So I'm just going to give this a burnish with my steel soap, which is ideal for burnishing things like this. And just go in a circular motion. And it's firm pressure, but you're not pushing so hard that you're going to start gouging the clay. And then I'm going to feel with my fingers, and you can feel whether it's level or not, because you want the cane piece to be completely flush with the black background. And then lift, and there we have it, and it's on there perfectly smooth. Now you've burnished it, so you're going to have thinned out the clay a little bit, so I'm just going to make another backing of clay. I'm going to need some more actually. Let me just get my block, because I want this to be a nice hefty pendant. I don't want it to be thin, because I'm going to sand it and buff it afterwards. No resin is going to be added to this. I just love the look of it without the resin. It just looks so pretty. So I'm just going to quickly roll out another piece of black clay, but I'm just going to roll it onto a number 3. That should be plenty thick enough for what I want. So I'm just going to take this off. The card. Please don't stick. It has done a little bit. Let me get a clean piece of card. I waste so much card, you know, doing this kind of thing, with the burnishing and everything else. I really should just get some scrap of some kind. So it did like gouge a little bit out, but I'm not too worried because it's just going to go on top of this, so nobody will know. Okay, so I've made my piece a little bit thicker. I'm just going to give it another quick roll so it's all nicely stuck together. I'm going to give it another quick burnish, card. I'm going to give it another quick burnish. So I know the front and back are nicely stuck together. And that's it. I'm just going to cut the shape now. I'm just going to get some cling film, a saran wrap, whatever you want to call it, just so I get a nice domed edge on this. I actually hate this stuff, and it's not in its box anymore, so I haven't got the serrated edge to cut it, so I have to kind of just do it myself. Alright, so get some saran wrap, place it over, and get your cutter. You don't have to use a square cutter, obviously, you can use whichever colour you want, but as you can see, I'm just going with one focal piece, so to speak, in the middle of this. I mean, you could do it so it's off centre and it's hanging over the edge, or you can centre it a little more, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to take that and I'm going to push down. Now, because this is quite a big piece, I think I am going to add a hidden bail on the back once this is baked. Okay, so I'm just going to take that excess away. Give it a smooth because it got a little bit messed up. I'm just going to get my knife just to trim away any rough edges, but I'm not going to be over particular about it because it is going to get sanded and buffed, and I'm hoping it's going to come off easily. Yay! Alright, so there's the piece, but I am going to just clean it up a little bit with some rubbing alcohol and a wet wipe, just to make sure it's nice and clean. And it gets any fingerprints out and it smooths the clay out, because it's taken a little bit of surface clay off when you use alcohol. And I've got a hair in it as well. Alright, so that's the piece, and I'm just going to get my little domey thing that I found, and I'm just going to place it on there like this. Try and get it straight, just give it a little gentle push on there so it's stuck to it. Just give it another quick wipe. And there we go, that's the piece. So I'm going to go and bake this, and when it's baked I'm going to add a little hidden bail on the back. I don't know if you know what that means, so I'll just quickly show you. You just take some of your black clay, or whatever colour background it is you're using. Obviously if you're doing a white pendant you'll need a white bail, you don't want it to be a different colour. And I'm just rolling a little bit of clay out onto a number 3 setting. And then all you'll do is, once your piece is baked and it's out of the oven and cooled down, you're just going to cut a little strip of the clay. You're going to add a little bit of liquid Sculpey onto the back of your piece where you want to put your bail, and it's just a case of wrapping it around something and attaching it to the bail. So I would get something like this and just roll it on there like that, and then I would place it where I want it to be on the back of my pendant, push down and remove this part, and then you've got your bail stuck on the back, and then you'd need to rebake the whole piece obviously so the back cures, but I'm not going to do that on camera, but that's what you do. So I'm going to go and put this in the oven, sand it and bake it, sand it and add a back to it, rebake it, sand it and buff it, and I'll come back and show you. I'll probably make a few more pieces as well to show you. Alright guys, so I'll be back. Alright, so I baked and sanded. I added a back, the hidden bale like I showed you. Just put that on there. And this is the finished piece, sanded and buffed. So delicate looking, and it's so smooth. So there's that one. I just want to show you another one that I did. Same thing, but I used purple in this instead of the turnip. So exactly the same, just one different colour. I used the mint green in both of them. So there's that one as well, and I added a pinch bale to that one instead of a hidden bale. So there's those two. I did a round one as well, which I haven't sanded and buffed yet, but that's that one, and I probably will add a hidden bale to that one as well. So there's a round one. And I did one in a mould, which is sanded and buffed. So there's that one. I love the shape of this one as well. So there's that one. And then I did another one, but I reduced the cane smaller just to give it a bit of a different look. So there's that one as well. And then, oh, I made another one in a different mould, in a triangle mould. Again, this one hasn't been sanded and buffed yet, but I'm just giving you some different ideas of shapes and sizes and whatnot. And then last but not least, I did this bangle, and again, I haven't sanded and buffed it yet, but this is what it's like thus far. Alright guys, so there are all the pieces. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye.